Hey everyone, hope you're all doing very well. And actually, I recorded a 30-minute video, not realizing I had my mic muted. So I'm going to record another one, but I'm going to do it much more compact rather than the full thing because I want to go to sleep soon. But essentially, I just want to talk a little bit about game design and a little bit about balance. This is just for fun at one point, and I also want to have an outlet for you guys to give feedback to the developers. I know that some of the developers do read this and they do take it seriously. So whatever you guys say in the comments section below, I know that they're watching, and try to give all your thoughts so that they can action the game to make it more fun for all of us, right? But here are my thoughts, okay? I think overall the game is trending in a good direction. I think it's been getting better and better ever since. I think the devs are doing a good job. I'm happy that activity is picking up as well. A lot of people I feel like, are coming back. In-game events are getting kind of cool too. Like you're getting a lot of these cool portraits and stuff. And so overall, I think the game is doing well, right? Before anyone misconstrues what I'm going to say in the rest of the video. But yeah, so I think things are going in a good direction. However, I think there are still some problems. Firstly, let me go into it based on, well, I have a few friends that they went from AOM Retold to Age of Empires 4, and now they came back to AOM Retold to give it another chance, and they're finding a lot of stuff still kind of unfun to play with, right? So let me give you an example. I'm not going to show you who this is, but this is one of my friend. He said Fusi is just broken. It's AoE, which is area of effect damage over area of effect damage. Basically, lots and lots of splash damage. It's just so unfun to play verse. I can't make any units. Units are not the focal point of the game anymore. It's god powers, and units are the assisting portion of the game. That's kind of what he's saying in a nutshell. And honestly, I don't disagree with him because if you look at Fusi here, and let's just pull up I think it's right here. If we look at Fushi, he gets Nezha, which is this hero right here, which is already insane when you get in the Mythic Age. But even more than that, he gets Yang Jian, right? Which has crazy area of effect damage. I swear this unit alone, I think I was playing one game and I lost 30 spearmen just to this one infantry unit by himself. So it's not fun to play with because you know that you're going to lose if you get to this stage of the game. He needs really real serious balancing, this guy and this guy. I think Neza is honestly okay. He's very, very strong, but so is like Bellerophon and Paul and the other Poseidon one too, right? So yeah, this guy's a little bit okay, but this guy's way too strong. And then this is not even the only problem. The other issue you have is there's a multitude of issues, but the other one you have is this Dragon Water Myth unit. If you have like 3 or 4 of them, they're just gonna splash damage and kill an entire army in like a second. It's absolutely insane, right? So you have too many units that do splash damage. Even this one right here, I don't know if you guys had it in your games, but like 4 or 5 of these are just gonna melt an entire front line. They need to tone down the splash damage. That's an absolute must. People get really frustrated when they build an entire army only for the whole army to get decimated in seconds, right? So that's the first thing. Now, I want to talk a little bit about just overall gameplay. I think the game is trending in a good direction, but I think it's still lagging behind where it needs to be. Primarily, what happened today was I came online, it was a little bit late, so like it was around 10:30, 11, and I wanted to find a game before I went to bed. But I couldn't find a game. I was searching for like 15 minutes, so I thought, okay, let me watch some replays. And I downloaded like 5 random replays. Um, all of them are from Kavoth, because he was rank 1 on the ladder right now. So I'm like, okay, let me watch some of his games. And you're going to see a very common pattern. I'm just going to skim through them really, really fast. Mind you, I already made a 30-minute video, and maybe make sure it's recording this time around. Yeah, it is. Okay, so I made a 30-minute video, but I had it on mute. So all it's coming down to, most of these games, is one big fight and the game is over. It's been like this since day one, kind of, really. One fight is all it takes to kind of decide the game. Now you can see Chemo's going for early game aggression, and I'm surprised he completely missed his town center, right? I think it wouldn't have been enough. Actually, it would have been, I think with ceasefire it probably wouldn't have been anything, wouldn't have done anything anyways. But he's doing this 1 TC aggression, but doesn't really find that much. Opponent just kind of moved his villagers around and he's perfectly fine. Going for this one town center aggression put him behind, if anything, right? Because now his opponent was on 2 town centers much faster than him and probably has a little bit of a vill lead. So when the time comes to actually get a big army out and fight, Chemo is going to have a little bit, well, he's going to have fewer units out on the field, right? So that's the first thing. Now, that's not what I want to talk about. What I want to talk about is games are just being ended and decided on one fight. Now, you can see that both armies are relatively even, I would say. You can see there's about 144 pop on Chemo's side, 180 here. In terms of pop count, you can see that Chemo has slightly less units, right? But he has some counter units, especially has 6 Catapulti heroes, right? Versus an entirely Hippias army with some hoplites mixed in. So slightly smaller army, but overall not significantly, right? And this is also because Chemo tried to do early game aggro and didn't find any damage, right? So obviously the Poseidon's going to have a bigger army. But this is the issue. Once bronze is casted, the game has been ended immediately, right? Chemo can't run away, because if he runs away, let's say he retreats over here, all of these villagers are going to die, this town center is going to die, and he's going to lose the game anyways. And if he fights, which is what he's doing right now, he's going to lose regardless, because you can never win a fight versus a bronzed up army. You can see the town center is just tickling his units kind of, right? So game was ended and decided 14 minutes. Pretty much everything that happened before the first 14 minutes kind of didn't really matter. The only thing that mattered is who had the bigger army when the god powers were casted, when the second gold mine became an issue. The same exact thing happened here, okay? And this one I think is a little bit better than the last one, because I think armies were a little bit more skirmishy in the middle. But you'll see in a second. Okay, so I'm just going to turn the fog off so we can see both sides. Okay, so Kavath is gearing up to take his town center as well. A little bit harder for him because Poseidon has the more mobile army, and centaurs are much harder to deal with. Okay, so now they both got their footing. Kavath, they're both fighting in the middle. I don't know why Kavath is really fighting in the middle. I don't think he really needs to, because there's nothing he really needs to protect, right? You can say he needs to protect his gold, but there's also a gold here, and this one's being empowered, so it's even better. So all this fighting is kind of pointless. There's nothing that you can really get from this. But once again, look, bronze gets casted. There's no way of beating bronze, right? No army can really take on bronze head on. So this army just gets absolutely erased. And after it gets erased, the town center gets erased. And the game is over. Now, this is... I mean, I had a discussion with Nara where he's saying it's not like the case all the time. There's a lot of back and forth. But literally, almost all five games are kind of the same as this as well. And I remember there was this game I watched where he said it was an amazing, exciting game between him and Kavath. Poseidon Mirror, there was a lot of raiding and stuff like that. But one player accidentally moved his army into the opponent's army, and I think that kind of cost him the game. So one mistake cost him the game, because all it's taking is one mistake for the game to just end. So what's the solution, right? Honestly, I think this is where we need to talk about comeback potential. I think early on it's a little bit tough, because early on nothing's happening anyways. There's really not much fighting. There is only fighting when it comes to the second gold mine. That's the most logical spot, because you can't really stop your opponent from gathering food. There's so much food in the base, right? So second gold mines are where fights really happen. By the time the second gold mine fights happen, most players are already in heroic. So that's where I think the first thing comes in. Better static defenses, right? If you had better static defenses, the chances of you being able to repel early game timing pushes would be better. Right now, they're just killing you. But if you had better fortresses, better towers or whatnot, maybe you can hold it off. And let me show you guys how bad. In my opinion, I won't say they're bad, okay? I would say they're very mediocre, but I don't think mediocre is enough. In a game with this high of a pop count, mediocre armies won't cut it. There's two armies here, okay? both equal armies in terms of upgrades, and same, they're both Hades, same minor god, same everything. One side has a fortress, and the other side has 6 less toxicity, right? I mean, you can even go maybe 7, but essentially, one side has a bigger army, and one side has a slightly smaller army, and that cost is translated into the fortress. Okay, so what do you think? What do you think happens here? Do you think the fortress wins, the fortress army wins, or the army without the fortress and slightly more units? So let's just take a look and see. Remember, the fortress does 36 pierce damage a second. One Toxidate does about 8.5 pierce damage a second. You can see it's not even close so far. The fortress doesn't. It's better to have units than actual static defenses, right? Just from removing 6 Toxidate, it was a completely one-sided affair, right? And it's even worse for towers, I would say. So, like, do you guys think that this is in a good situation right now? Like, is it in a good spot? Could it be stronger? I think it should be stronger. Like, you guys saw it right now as well, right? Honestly, I think this army without the fortress is about to siege down the fortress by itself. They do have Burning Pitch, I guess. So maybe that's a little bit different. No, I'm just going to double check something. Maybe I made a mistake. No, I did not make a mistake. Same army strength. So this army without the fortress is strong enough to kill an entire army and then kill the fortress itself. If that doesn't tell you the fortress is too weak, then I don't know what does, right? So I think you need better static defenses. The problem is, if you make static defenses better, then turtling is going to become better too, right? People already turtle as it is so much. So what's the solution to that? Well, the solution to that is make siege way better. We're not talking about incrementally like 10% better. We're talking about like 20% cheaper, 10% more damage output, maybe 10% more survivability. We're talking about like a significant increase in siege. You want static D to be very strong against units, and you want siege to be very strong against buildings. I think that's what we're missing right here. If you have better static defenses, think about those last 2 games that I just showed you. If you have better static defenses, there's a chance that those timing pushes won't just straight up kill an opponent, right? They might still cripple the opponent, right? But it won't kill you outright, because your towers and your fortress and your town center will be able to resist these really, really strong god powers and myth units. But you need to add siege so that there's a better triangle, right? Buildings beat units, siege beats buildings, right? So then units beat siege. So it's kind of has to be a little bit of a triangle going on there. And this is also what I think late game. I think caravans need a boost. You have population limits of 200 plus now, right? This is more than even like Age of Empires 2 or Age of Empires 4, where you have 200 population limit. In Age of Empires 4, you can have more than 100 villagers. Here, you're capped at 100 villagers. So you're not, what's happening is you're not able to repopulate. And as a result, 1 or 2 lost fights are going to end the game completely. So if you had more economy, if your caravans gave you more gold and you had more resources to put into your army and your fortresses and all your other things, expenditures, then you would be able to have more and more fighting. You'll have constant fights. Maybe you lost a fight and your opponent gained some ground, but you were able to repel him and hold your territory. It won't just be, I lost a fight, I don't have enough resources, I can't make another army, GG, game is over. It will instead be, oh shit, I lost a fight, but I do have some resources. Let me make another army. Let me have another go. Let me take another chance, right? Now, you're still going to be behind. There's no doubt about that. But now, instead of being game over, it's going to be, okay, now maybe he has a 70% chance of winning instead of a 100% chance of winning, if you know what I mean. Now, early game, I've already said this many, many times. I think early game needs to be opened up. I think you need to have objectives on the map. It can't just be about sitting in your base, getting a ton of resources and then moving out and trying to have one fight and end the game right there and then. You need to have you need to have things that will incentivize players to move out on the map and gain territory. That's what war is, right? You look at any war, it's all about gaining ground, gaining valuable resources. It's not about let's just sit in our base, make the best possible tanks, make the best possible aircraft, and then we're going to move out. No, it's about controlling strategic locations so that you can get bigger armies and bigger and better technology and stuff like that, right? So right now it's too closed up. There's no incentive for moving out. And I think that the pup changes are going to be good, where hunting is going to be a little bit better. So that's always going to be a good thing. It's going to make the game a little bit more dynamic. And I understand that a lot of players don't like to play these games where they're just dead if they get caught out on hunting. That's why I think it's still a good decision by the devs to keep a good chunk of food in your base, right? So you're going to have both. You're going to have best of both worlds. If you want to stay in your base and you don't want to take the risk, you can stay in your base. You have some food there and you'll be fine. But if you want to take a risk and you want to get a little bit more eco, then hunting is going to be a lot better. So I think this is going to be good. Now, another thing that I've been hearing a lot of, I've been hearing a lot of great comments from a player named Jollyman, right? I've been reading his takes and I think I like what I read, right? I like what I hear. He has a lot of great points. And one of the points that he made just recently was, let me see if I can get the math actually. He had, I don't want to butcher his words. He actually thought this out very well and he deserves the credit on this, right? So let me just show you guys what he wrote. I hope you're okay with me posting this, Jolly. I think you'll be fine, so I'm going to post it anyways. But so he's saying he just played some scrims with his buddy and they were fighting, and if we gotta, both of them were stuck on resources and could not get full pop. So just look at this, maybe pause the video and just read this a little bit quickly. But he's saying that the villager to population limit in Age of Mythology can't keep up with the amount of armies that we're pushing out, right? So you can see it here. The villager to pop ratio is 0.42, and I think he doesn't have it in this screenshot right here. Maybe I'll make it bigger. 1 second. Ah, here it is. Okay. Let me just snip this. Okay, so when old Age of Mythology, the population limit was 160, and you had an 80 villager cap. So you had a 50% villager to population ratio. Now the population limit is around 235. Is that right? But in any case, you have 100. You're capped at 100 villagers. So the vill to pop ratio is 0.42. So I think he's saying that's about 30% or 20%, something like that, of a differential. That's why you guys can't keep up once you lose one fight, because the villager, like the gather rates or whatnot, or the villager to pop ratio is skewed a little bit. So what do I suggest? Now this one is a little bit of a dramatic take because a lot of people are not on board with this, but I personally think increasing gather rates probably across the board will allow you to field more armies on the field, right? So if you have more villagers, higher gather rates, or even just put them inside of like technology. So instead of making pickaxe 10%, make it 15%, the next one make it 20, etc., right? Just increase gather rates in some way, shape, or form. A lot of people are saying that, for wood and food, it's perfectly fine. But a lot of people said that for gold, it feels a little bit lacking. And I also agree as well. I think gold is the slowest of the gather rates, right? So maybe just a slight increase for gold. And this will help a lot of early game stuff. So you'll be able to get armies out a lot faster too, right? So that's kind of what I have in a nutshell. I want to hear your thoughts on this. I think everyone has a lot to contribute. So you tell me what you guys want to tell me what your thoughts are. I know a lot of people actually been kind of complaining that, just army units alone can take down structures. It's one of the only games that can kind of do this. In Age of Empires 2 and 4, I think you need siege. Whereas in Age of Mythology, you don't need siege anymore. Just like units alone are good enough to take down buildings. Some civilizations like Zeus have that bonus, and I think that's fine. They should be able to, but overall, I think siege needs to play a bigger role in this game. I'm just thinking about if there's anything I forgot here, but I don't think so. I think this is kind of what I wanted to bring up, and I wanted you guys to have a discussion about it. Let me know your thoughts, and yeah, just let me know your thoughts, and I will see you guys in the next video. Thank you guys. Take care. Bye.